What's up, guys? You're listening to another episode of Selling on Amazon with Andy Isom. Our plain photos outsold the new fancy infographic photos that we had made for one of our products. I talked to my students about this experiment that I ran back in December for one of our products. Now, we have a dog leash that we sell, and it sells okay, but it doesn't sell that great. Now, granted, it is an expensive product, so we get that. We understand that it's not going to have as much volume of sales as maybe our competition. But we've been always trying to, improve the listing and figure out, how can we maybe increase sales for that specific product. And something that I was looking at was the photos of the product. And so I looked at the photos of the product and I realized, you know what? They're pretty plain. Like, it's just kind of showing here, like I'm showing on the screen if you guys are watching on YouTube. It's just showing the product. Like, there's no text, there's no infographics. We've just got 4 different kind of angle photos of the product. And then we've got 2 lifestyle product shots and then a video tied on there just kind of for the branding element. But that's it. Like, there's really nothing that fancy about the images. I mean, they're nice and they're good quality. Like you can see if you hover, they're good resolution. My business partner Cameron does a great job of taking our photos. But again, like, it's not that really fancy techie infographic style of photo that you see on a lot of other products that actually does really well for a lot of other products. In fact, it's something that we recommend to a lot of our students is getting really nice, high quality, premium feel photo edits done. So that's what I did. I went out and I actually just took these 4 existing photos that we had, and I worked with my photo editor and I asked him to, make some Amazon infographic style. I gave him the branding kit and everything, and he did a great job. In fact, I thought they turned out really good. There's obviously some little changes and things maybe we could have made, but they were good enough to at least run a split test. So that's what we did. We ran an Amazon brand experiment. Now, remember, you guys, if you're brand registered, you can run brand experiments, which is a great way to split test titles, main images. You can now do product images, A+ content. There's a lot of things you can split test. And I would recommend, especially if you have SKUs that are not doing as well as you'd hoped, consistently doing split tests. Just consistently run, split test the title. And then when you get a winning title, do it again. Just consistently split test, and you're going to get better and better and better and better and increase that conversion rate. When you do that, guys, when you do your SEO, this would be considered part of SEO optimization. When you hear like optimized listing, SEO, this is what we're talking about. Updating titles, keywords, bullet points, images, improving the conversion rate on the listing itself. That's what we're trying to impact. When you pair that, strategy that you're always working on with a really good PPC advertising strategy, that's how you're going to really get that good growth and ultimately get that organic ranking, organic sales, low A costs, and reach that profitability. Okay. So those kind of go hand in hand. So this is part of that SEO listing optimization side of this product listing. My hypothesis shocked me. I thought for sure our new photos were going to convert better. I was pretty confident. In fact, I told our business partners, I was like, hey, I'm going to split test these new photos. And I honestly really thought that they were going to win. But guys, our plain photos that you see right here outsold the new fancy infographics, and it wasn't even close. It wasn't even close. In fact, you can see right here, the experiment only had to run for like 6 days because a winner, you can run these for, by the way, I'll just say this, you can run these for a time frame or you can run them to significance. And as soon as like one version provides strong evidence that it's going to perform better than the other one, Amazon will just end the experiment and auto publish. So that's what I ran for this one. So notice version A, guys, which was again, the original content, it sold 7 units in, granted, it's a short time frame. It's 6 days, and 2 of those days were like no sales on Amazon because it's right before Christmas. So maybe the timing was a little bad, but that being said, still 7 sales in a few days from the version A, 0 from the fancy infographic photos. And the sample size is almost identical, okay? There's only a difference of 120 impressions. So like, this wasn't even close. Guys, I've run brand experiments on other bandanas for, I've done bullet points, I've done titles, and the results have been super tight, like within 1 or 2 units, and we're talking hundreds of units. But this was not even close. This was a runaway by the OG. Let me show you guys here so you can kind of see. Oh, let me find it right here. You can get a little sneak peek here. If you're watching on YouTube, big benefit for watching the podcast on YouTube. If you guys are not, you can see the stuff on screen. Here's the version A images. Again, those are OG photos. And then here's kind of taking a peek at the infographics. Now, there's a bunch here because we have 2 different variations, so it's kind of showing both. But you can see, guys, these infographics were cool. Like, I thought they turned out cool. We've got got our logo, we've got our branding fonts, we've got our branding colors. They're like these cool edits that kind of highlight, and there's wording and text. It's easy to read, highlighting the different features of the leash, but still the OG outsold. And again, I was shocked by that because I thought for sure, like selling people on the like highlight integrated poop bag holder, waist bag, like using all these wording and like making it look legit and premium. Like, wow, that's a really nice edit. That's going to add value and justify, our higher price point. But guys, our simple plain Jane photos destroyed the infographic photos on conversion. So lessons here. Takeaways. I know this is a shorter podcast episode, but takeaways, guys, never assume you know what's going to perform for your product. I've told my students this so many times. Never assume you know what is going to work for your audience. I see a lot of my students run into trouble with this with designs. So there's, tons of products out there that have a design element. We're talking like a printed design on the product. It's like our dog bandanas, for example. Like you print a design on a dog bandana. And a lot of people out there, students, followers, everyone, me too. Like I've already told this story many times about one of our designs that I thought was going to crush it, and it's the worst design we've ever sold. We think we know. We're like, dang, this looks awesome. Like this is great. This is what's going to sell. This is hot. I love this design. And then you put it out there into the market and it flops. You have to understand, guys, as a business owner, you need to adopt this mindset as an entrepreneur. Do not assume you know what your customers or your audience or your followers or whoever they are, what they want. You need to ask them. And for like this, right? I don't get to like ask I could like do some polls and whatnot. Like, hey, what photos you guys like better? Like on Instagram. But let's say you don't really have that. Like you don't have an email list or a huge following to like do that kind of thing. The way that we ask is by testing. You test, you put it out there. Does it do well? Yes, great. The market has told you they like it. Does it suck? Does it flop? Does it not sell? Does it not convert? The market has told you they do not like your offer. Something about it. And that's the tricky part, right? That's the game. That's what kind of makes this fun, is figuring out what is the problem, because it's not super clear. Like I wish there was a way to like get in the head of every single shopper that looked at any of my products on Amazon, and I knew, and I had some sort of way to like gather real-time intelligence of like why they didn't click, why they didn't buy, why did you add it to your cart but not purchase it? Why did you, like, I wish I could ask these people, but I can't. There's no way of doing that really. So all we can rely on is the data. We look at conversion rates, we look at click-through rates, we look at the numbers and see, and we compare. Like that's why these tools like Smart Scout, Jungle Scout, these tools that we use are so powerful, is because we can see how are we doing relative to our competition. Because you might have a conversion rate of 2% and you're like, is that good? Is that bad? That might be great for apparel, but it might suck for dog leashes. So that's why, again, we use these tools to figure out like, what does my competition do? What's their conversion rate? What's their sales? Like you can see like, ooh, the market doesn't really like mine as much as I thought, and it doesn't like it as much as my competitors. And so then you get to figure out, okay, what do I need to do? Do I need to adjust my offer? Do I need to adjust my images? Do I need to adjust my pricing? Do I need to adjust, the feature? Like you need to consistently test, get the feedback in the form of the data, and then know, okay, let's try this, test. Let's try this, test. Always be testing. ABT. I'm going to frame that somewhere. I'm going to find a place here in my office to I've been having so many quotes and things running through my mind in this past week of the new year and goals and stuff. That I'm I need just a full wall of quotes. ABT, always be testing. Don't assume you know. There was another one related to content. Side note, tangent. I'm trying to put out better quality content for you guys over on social media, by the way. So hopefully you guys are enjoying some of the newer, more diligent, thought out, intentional content to help you guys. But I've been trying to adopt the mindset of less quantity, more quality. I got to think of a better way to say that. Yeah, I have all these sayings anyways that I'm trying to adopt, but always be testing is the saying that I want you guys to focus on for today in our podcast episode. Don't assume. And I try to tell my students this, here's the thing about having a mentor, right? It's not like the mentor is all knowing. I don't know everything. I don't know what price point is going to crush it for your product. I don't know what design is going to crush it. So, it's hard because students will ask me what do you think about my design? I'm I think that looks pretty cool. But just because Andy says it looks pretty cool does not mean it's going to sell. So if I say, yeah, that looks pretty cool, they're sweet. And then they launch it and it flops. I'm Andy, screw you. You told me that this design was cool and it sucks. I'm okay. So I thought it was cool, but apparently nobody else does, right? So that's why you cannot rely on just one person, including yourself. Do not rely on yourself alone to think oh, I think this is cool, so it's going to work. No, test it. And you got to have like the humility, right? To just know that you're not going to be right all the time. And that's okay. It's okay to make changes, to make updates, and to keep trying. The people who win in the game of business are the people who, one, are not super emotional about all this. They're not emotional about the feedback they get. And they're like, screw our customers. They said I got a bad review saying it sucks. And everybody like, screw them. Like, no, be emotionally detached from that to just look at it, objectively and say, what is this feedback? The feedback is negative. We need to make it better. Or the feedback says they don't like this. Let's try something different. Those are the people who win in business. The people who are like, oh, screw it. Like, I thought this design was going to crush it. It didn't. I can't do this. Those are the people who fail. Those are the people who give up, is what I should say. Because failing only happens when you stop. When you stop, you have now failed. If you don't stop, you can't fail. It's like running a race. There's this really inspirational video clip of a marathon. I think it was a marathon race I think it was even in the Olympics. I want to say it was women. I'm going to butcher this, but someone hit me up on Instagram and remind me what this story was. I maybe should have looked it up, but it just came right to my head. I think she's from the Netherlands. But anyways, it was like a marathon race in the Olympics. Girl goes down, gets tripped. And she was like one of the favorites, I think. She gets tripped, I think like early or midway through the race. Bad, like cuts, like scrapes her, destroys her knees, bleeding, like bad. She is back in the pack. Guys, she comes roaring back to win the race. Now that's it. That's like one of those crazy, miraculous kind of hero stories, inspirational stories, getting back up and winning. But you don't necessarily have to get back up and like finish first. Just getting back up and finishing the race means you didn't fail. The people who fail are the people who like trip, stumble, and decide not to get back up. Now, obviously, if you're like super injured, I get it, right? I'm not trying to say those people are failures, but like if you give up hope and you stop trying when you can, right? When you could keep going, you could keep trying. That's when essentially you can say that you failed. And I mean, that's okay. Like, I'm not trying to throw a lot of shade here today and say like, oh, for everyone out there who stopped trying, you're all failures. No, not necessarily. It just means like your Amazon business failed. At that point, you can close the book and say, I started an Amazon business and I failed, because you're no longer doing it. But if you've launched products and they're not selling well, or you're still $5,000 in the hole, right, with your investment, or you're not profitable yet, your ads A cost is high, you have not failed. You've not failed yet. You're just learning, right? You're just learning. There's only winning and learning as long as you're still going. So keep that in mind, guys, as you continue to push forward. Don't assume, test, always be testing. And you only fail when you stop trying, right? You only fail when you stop trying. As long as you still try, there's only winning and learning. Guys, once again, I'm Andy. You're listening to Selling on Amazon with Andy Isom. We'll see you in the next episode.